So I think I've recognized everybody is in the room tonight. Um, I suspect we'll have a few more people who might show up. Um, if that they do, that's good. If not, that's okay too. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about exercise, um, the issues associated with it, and I have a few videos to share with you. And Scott did this kind of on his own last Friday, and if he wants to jump in and share whatever he wants to share, he'll do that too. But before we get started, let's make sure that all of you are up to speed and have your questions answered, and you're not unhappy about anything, or you're very happy about everything. Anybody have any thoughts or comments or anything that they wish to share? No comments. Uh, all right. Well, I see, Scott, you're back in the room and you're back as me. And
I signed out and signed back in with my own Zoom email and password. It's still you.
okay, can you log out? Oh, but you're in the meeting that I started. How about if I make you a host to see if,
Well, I made myself co-host.
oh, you did?
Yeah, because I'm still you, so I can kind of. It's nice to have the access because then I can do classes, but you don't want to have to change my name every time.
I mean, I don't mind doing that, but it is sort of odd, isn't it?
Yeah, especially since they logged me out after like a day after the last time I did
I
it.
know, I know.
Now then I go back in and now I can't and won't go back.
All right, well, you got your real name back anyway right now. So, no one has any questions, anything they care to share before we carry on? I'm going to go ahead and start with the first video then. It's about 10 minutes. It goes over the benefits of exercise, which most of you are aware of, but some of it may stretch your brain a little bit, remind you of things that you may have forgotten, and there may be some things that you never gave much thought to is the importance of exercise. So let's go ahead and start out. I'm going to share my screen. First, I'm going to mute everybody just to make sure that there is no extraneous noise because I see a lot of phones that are unmuted. Okay, so we're good there. Now I'm going to share my screen. And next, I'm going to play the first video. And most of the rest of them are shorter than this, but.
But, I've got this huge project at work. Can't ever seem to keep up on the housekeeping, definitely after the new year.
Let's start this again.
Exercise, the one thing we all want to do. But, I've got this huge project at work. Can't ever seem to keep up on the housekeeping, definitely after the new year. Uh-huh. We all got excuses galore. But what's happening inside your body if you don't exercise at all? Well, let's review my list here. Number 1, a bad complexion. Exercise gets blood flowing. With good circulation coming their way, skin cells get the nourishment they need. So if they don't get the goods, also known as you're not working out to boost blood flow, you might see more acne, dullness, and wrinkles on your face. 2, itchiness. If you don't move your bod, your system gets used to a low-activity lifestyle. So let's say your buddy invites you to go for a walk or a bike ride around town. This sudden spike in movement will send your circulation into a frenzy. Blood will rush to your muscles and skin, the increased pressure will start tickling the nerves there, and you'll start itching like mad. 3, shortness of breath. While you're taking a stroll with your pal and digging your nails into your thighs, you'll also find that you can't seem to catch your breath. Any physical movement that's more than your norm, which isn't much if you don't exercise at all, will have you feeling winded. A short flight of stairs, running for the bus, even cleaning your house will have you taking breaks to catch your breath. 4. Low energy. Don't expect to feel alive and vibrant if you spend most of the day sitting. It's all got to do with that blood pumping through your veins. Exercise boosts circulation, and you already know what that does to all the cells in your body, not just your muscles. Without regular physical activity, your whole system sort of goes on standstill and your energy levels plummet. 5. Sleepless nights. If you're not using a lot of energy throughout the day, your body will have a hard time going into sleep mode. Just because you feel tired, weak, and lazy all day, that doesn't mean you'll want to fall asleep immediately come bedtime. Exercise helps tire you out, so your body desperately craves rest when the time comes. 6. Sugar cravings. A lot of the consequences of not exercising are connected, and this negative effect comes from those low energy levels. Your body will crave sugar for a quick fuel source to boost your energy. The problem is that you come crashing down not long after you fill yourself with junk food and caffeine. That means the more candy and soda you take in, the more your body wants it in order to keep going. 7. Mental fog. If your brain isn't getting much oxygen, because poor circulation and shortness of breath, it won't be on top of its game. Without regular physical exercise, you might find yourself having a hard time concentrating on tasks, staying focused, and processing information. You ever walk into a room and forget what you came for? Exactly.
Watch what eggs do to your brain. Take a look at these 2 brain scans. They both look young, strong, and healthy, but only one of them is young. The other is the brain of a 97-year-old woman. Her secret? Doing this one simple thing each night before bed. I'm not sure if this might interest you, but if you or a loved one is often forgetting things or suffering from brain fog, then I've got something important to share with you. So, about a year ago, my husband came home from his doctor's appointment, and he had this note that totally knocked me down. It said, "Your husband is showing signs of dementia. You can try to slow it down with medications, but that's really all we can do." How could this be? We had dreams of going on a cruise, traveling the world, and seeing our grandchildren graduate from college. And all of that to be taken away within the next 2 years, because the doctor said that's how long it could be before my husband would need 24/7 care, perhaps even in a nursing home. So it turned out, after a lot of tests, my husband's brain was all clogged up. It had plaques. Really scary, to be honest. And this can happen to so many of us. It was literally suffocating his brain, like his brain was all clogged up. That's why he was experiencing forgetfulness. He was tripping up on his words. Sometimes he couldn't put a complete sentence together. And the scary thing is, if you just ignore forgetfulness and brain fog and do nothing about it for too long, the damage could be irreversible and devastating. We're talking about possibly losing your independence. But the reason I'm sharing this is not to scare you, but to share what we've discovered as the way to fix this for good, without dangerous pills or anything unnatural. It brings tears to my eyes even.
Number 8. Lightheadedness. Blood pressure can fluctuate when you don't have a regular exercise routine. So let's say it's on the low end and you bend down to pick up something you dropped. You stand back up and boom, instant case of the disease. If your blood pressure is too high, you can have frequent headaches, irregular heartbeat, and even vision problems. 9. More sick days. Better sleep, a healthy diet, and all the things that usually come with an active lifestyle all help to strengthen immunity. If you're living more like a sloth, then expect more sick days from work or school. Before you rejoice at that, don't forget that a weakened immune system can make you susceptible to stuff that's way scarier than the cold or flu. You need your body's defense system in good shape to protect you from the really nasty germs and infections out there in the world. 10. Weak muscles. If you're not moving your muscles, then they won't build strength, period. Without exercise, you might struggle just to lift the grocery bags and carry them into the house. Even standing for a long time can wear you out. 11. Injuries. Building strength in your muscles often means improving your balance and sharpening your mental clarity. Let's say you go to pick up those grocery bags and end up throwing your back out because your muscles are being overstrained. Or maybe you can't endure the weight, so you drop a bag and all those canned goods fall on your foot. Ow! Perhaps the bag in your left hand is heavier than the right one, so you lose your balance and take a tumble. Yeah, exercise often means fewer injuries. 12. Stiffness. You don't just build strength when you work those muscles of yours, you improve flexibility as well. No stretching in the form of physical activity means painful muscle and joint stiffness. Of course, my next point only makes this one worse. 13. Poor posture. You might associate your muscles with lifting dumbbells and flexing like Schwarzenegger. But they're so much more important. You need them just to hold your body upright as you're walking, sitting, or standing. With weak muscles, you often get slouching. And what does poor posture mean? Back and neck pain, yes, obviously. But it also causes poor circulation and organ function because of the pressure you're putting on your innards. 14. Digestive issues. Yeah, if you're squishing your guts and starving them of oxygen, overloading them with junk food cravings and so on, don't expect them to work right either. That, and since your body is on standstill, your metabolism will do the same. Then come digestive issues like acid reflux, bloating, and irregularity. 15. Bone problems. Exercise strengthens your bones too. Weightlifting and high-impact activities like running or jogging put pressure on your bones. Your body reacts by strengthening them. Without that, your bones become less dense and more fragile. That means higher risk of fractures and loss of bone mass. Bone loss is especially dangerous because you don't really see the symptoms until it's too late. 16. Mental health issues. Your brain contains happy hormones. Physical activity, among all the other things, also boosts the productions of these mood boosters. Without exercise, depression, anxiety, and mood swings can appear or worsen. So give me the happy hormones. 17. A less than desirable reflection. Okay, let's recap here. You got weak, flabby muscles, dark circles under your eyes from no sleep, bad skin, and poor posture. Doesn't make for a very nice picture now, does it? Who cares about what other people think? It's your own self-esteem and confidence that can take a nosedive because of all these physical consequences of not exercising. Then you won't want to socialize, and it just snowballs downhill from there. And another confidence crusher will be number 18, weight gain, obviously. Think of it this way. Your energy levels are low, which also means your metabolism slows down. You're craving all this junk food and not burning the extra calories off in the form of physical activity. They stick around, fat builds up, and no surprise, weight gain follows. Don't make Jabba the Hutt your role model. Now, I'm not going to preach at you to go out there and hit the gym, join a track team, or kick your sibling or roommate out of the room so you can buy a bunch of equipment and turn their room into a workout space. Not that it wouldn't be fun, or that you need to stop watching TV and playing video games altogether, because those are the culprits of a sedentary lifestyle. No need for drastic measures here. Just get out and get moving, and start off small. You don't need to do a 180 overnight. Keep it simple. Set a limit for your TV time and take a walk around the block once it's over. Make it a rule. 1 hour of TV equals 20 minutes of physical activity. Even as you're watching TV, do crunches, push-ups, or plank during commercial breaks. Hey, sometimes when I'm watching football, I'll get up and run in place as hard as I can during the actual play and stop when the play is over. Works up a sweat for sure. Want to scroll through your social media? Make yourself do a set of jumping jacks first. Again, be sure to set a time limit though. You gotta earn that scroll. Waiting for your coffee to brew? Bust out some squats as you wait. Don't just stand there and brush your teeth. That's boring. Some standing high knees shouldn't be too difficult to do. Easy. Don't step on the cat. Turn on some jams and dance as you're getting ready in the morning. That's my personal favorite. Not so much my neighbors. There are so many ways you can include physical activity in your day-to-day. Leave your own recommendations down in the comments and feel free to get creative. Anyway, you can even multitask and make it a social thing with your friends. Oh, that really gets fun because then your competitive spirit comes out. Who can do more lunges? Play a game of basketball together. Hey, you might even find some new interests and make new friends. If you start slow, your body won't be shocked into this new healthy lifestyle. Just commit to doing a little something every day. Don't skip a day. And eventually, you'll work yourself up into a regular exercise habit. But for now, I think I'll shake my groove thing while I go out and get the mail. Hey, if you learned something new today, then give the video a like and share it with a friend.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the share for a minute. I apologize for leaving you in the lurch with those commercials. My wife had an issue, and uh, we went to the ophthalmologist today. She needs to have a cataract done, and so I'm just kind of trying to be around and answer the questions that come up. Just had a surgery on her wrist. And, sometimes it feels like one might be falling apart with one issue after another intermittently. So I apologize, but I think there were enough good things in that. It was probably for the the later teen and um, younger crowd, that video, but I kind of enjoyed watching most of it today and must have skipped the part where they did the commercials. Anyway, any thoughts about that? Anything surprise you? I thought they did a fairly good job of summing up the multiple kinds of issues that occur with the importance of exercise and what can happen should you choose a sedentary lifestyle. Any thoughts?
I think it's absolutely true. I think we have to exercise, or otherwise we're going to get nothing. You'll be nothing.
You're,
So,
you're putting yourself at having, muscle, bone issues,
yeah,
GI
everything.
issues, stress issues, so many things. It affects our whole life. So it doesn't have to be in the gym. It doesn't have to be marathon. Just get out, do things that you enjoy doing, being out in nature, in your yard, or who knows, whatever works for you. Just move more and do and sit a bit less. That's the overall message here as we continue on here. Any other thoughts? I've got another video. It's shorter. We're going to have some fun with the next video because, sometimes even animals, um, I guess we're animals, but our animal friends sometimes understand the benefits of exercise and actually can enjoy it. So let me share my screen with you once again. And how come this is different here? Here's the share. Okay, and then I'm going to go back over here. And I want to share a video that I took just a few years ago. It's of Andre.
Okay, Andre, come on, buddy. Let's get on the treadmill. Let's go. Up. Come on up. Let's go for a little walk. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, here we go. That's a good little boy. Come on, little boy. Here we go. Give me a little kiss. Good dog. Nice doggy. Good puppy. Going for a good walk. Get some good exercise. We know that's going to make us healthy, huh? Good boy. You want to go a little faster? Okay, let's go a little faster. Go for a little run. There we go. There we're running. Run, run. Okay, let's go a little slower. Good boy. That's my good boy. Good boy, Andre. Yeah, you're a good dog. Okay, we'll do that. Time to get off, buddy? Okay, we're all done. Good boy. Yeah, that's a good boy.
So
Is
I
that your
need,
dog? Is that your dog?
yeah, that's Andre. Andre is now in an urn in our house. It was from several years ago. Maybe about, I don't know, 10 years ago. We had Andre for quite a number of years, and he was just totally amazing. You saw he got jumped up on the treadmill on his own with some encouragement. He could run, he could walk, and then when we told him it was time done, he could get off on his own without any problem. Did you notice Christine in the background there to the side? Everybody? Yes, no. Some people did, some people didn't. Anybody not recognize Christine in the background? Okay, so I gotta play that for you one little last time. Not the whole clip, but I'll just share uh, about.
Okay, Andre, come on, buddy. Let's get on the treadmill. Let's go. Up. Come on up. Let's go for a little walk. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, here we go.
Look to the left
That's a
upper
good little
corner.
boy.
Up
Come
here.
on, little
There
boy.
she is.
Here we go.
Doing
Give
her
me a little kiss. Good
Get up.
dog. Nice doggy.
in
Good
the
puppy.
corner.
All,
See
all
her
we
back
can see
there?
Get
is
some
her
good
legs.
exercise.
Oh yeah, she's doing exercise. Yeah.
Okay.
Boy.
Is that your home gym?
Yeah, that's so that's when we let's see if I can get rid of this there.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a home gym. There was a separate room that these people had built. It was a garage or something. We turned it into an exercise room. We had a treadmill and elliptical fitness and, yoga mats and the other things. This was 10 or 15 years ago when we were in Roseburg. Exercise has always been important, and we've just continued on. We would walk every day, and then we'd do the equipment for maybe a couple times a week. Um, Particularly in winter. Summer, we were a bit more active in the yard and stuff like that. But it's become kind of a habit with us. It's been really difficult for Christine because she has this wrist thing, so she can't be lifting her weights, and that's kind of bummed her out a bit. But it does take a while to kind of get involved in having fun with the dog like that while we were exercising was kind of a cool thing to do. All right, any of you have animals who can walk on the treadmill like that? I thought you might get a kick out of it, or have a little fun with you at the same time that we're trying to encourage you to incorporate some more movement in your life.
There's actually a local business that goes around to your house and brings doggy treadmills, and they'll put your dog on the treadmill,
Really?
even when you're not home, so that you're at work and you want to get your dog some exercise. They'll come to your house, put your dog on a treadmill. It's an actual business.
What's it called?
I'm not sure. I don't remember the name of it, but I've seen commercials recently for it.
Okay.
When I was in New York City, there would be dog walkers, and there would be like 7 dogs. These dog people would go out and walk 7 dogs at a time. It was just kind of amazing.
So I just got back from another one of these week-long bike rides, And these guys, I mean, they were in their 80s and their 70s. I would say the average age of the folks that go on these things is like, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s, but there were these 80-year-old guys, 80 plus, riding 50, 60 miles a day. Amazing. Like, I mean, they are amazing. So it's never too late. It's very inspiring to see these folks.
I love to hear you say it's never too late because I have so many people who tell me I'm too old or whatever it might be. And I spend a lot of time trying to encourage them, give them hope, to do something different with their life and
So,
stop thinking they're so old.
so Charlie, you should tell them your 11-minute plank story. That's an inspiring one for the new people.
Okay, for anybody who's new, who hasn't heard the plank story, I've been plant-based for 13 years, pretty much totally for my wife's sake. I did it. I didn't do it for my sake. And, through this process, I've tried to help other people make a lifestyle change because I believe in it so strongly. And I started out at the tennis court one time. Had a group of four high school students who were pretty good tennis players. And I just was talking to them about the benefits of plant-based eating, and they were kind of poo-pooing the idea, like, I don't know, it's not that big a deal. And so I challenged them to a plank and outplanked them. And from that point, I have the idea that maybe I could use that for the future, just like Jack Lane at age 77 could row. He could hold on to 77 boats and swim. That was sort of an inspiration for me. So I thought if I could be inspiring to other people by doing planks, that would be important. Now, I must tell you, it was my wife who started me planking. I couldn't do a 45-second plank back 13 years ago. But she somehow got into planking and did a minute and then a 2 minute. And so I kind of didn't want her to get too far ahead of me. I'm a kind of a competitive guy. Um, and so I got up to that range, but then she saw someone did a 5 minute plank, and that would just about crushed my ego and soul because I didn't think I'd ever do a 5 minute plank in my life, but I kept working at it until eventually I got up to a 5 minute plank like she could do. And so then I started taking on other people, and I got wiped out at an urgent care center that I worked at by a guy from the military who I did a 5 minute plank and he did a 10 minute plank. And I'm like, God, he would look like he could go for another 10 or 20 minutes. And so I, I was like blown away by this guy. But then I just said to myself, I'm just going to do this. So when I was at the medical school, about, I don't know, maybe 6 years, 7 years ago, um, I was teaching them about the importance of exercise, and I challenged the class to a plank. And I started doing a plank, and I did it for about 6 minutes. And there was someone who was watching. It was being zoomed down to the mother school in California. And the dean there said, okay, that's enough. And so I quit at the 6 minute plank mark. Like he was, like you got to teach him something. Like he didn't get the point that, was very impactful for the students. And so he stopped me at 6 minutes. And so then about 3 years ago, I did a plank at the school and it was somewhere around, I don't know, 7 minutes. And then about a year and a half ago, I had one opportunity to meet with the first year class. I was in charge of kind of dealing with the second year students, and I'd never been had a chance to talk to the first year class, and it was on ENT, ears, nose, and throat. They wanted me to talk about. Well, you know me, if I'm going to talk about anything to a new group, I'm going to bring up plant-based eating and the importance of it. And how does that go along with ears, nose, and throat? I guess you could say there's teeth and you eat. I didn't go at it in that way. I just said, I just have to share with you. I've gone over the ENT material that they asked me to do, but I want to share a few moments about what our food actually is because many of you are not going to learn this. And so I told them, and I said, in order for you to understand how really important this is, I'm going to challenge your whole class to a plank. I'd love for you to bring out your strongest, your healthiest among the group and bring them back at 5 o'clock today when your class time is over, and we'll plank it out together. Sure enough, about 75% of their class showed up, and about half of those people got down on their toes and elbows or forearms and started planking with me. And they had a couple people who were timing, one person was videoing, and I was kind of up on a table. It was soft and padded. I was smart. I didn't want to be on the ground with that hard whatever it was. I wanted to have a little cushioning, which no one questioned. And we started planking, and 5 minutes went by, and half the class dropped out. But there was still about half of them, about 15 remaining from the group that had come. And they were cheering people on, and there was a lot of noise and discussion and, yelling and, come on, you can get this guy and whatever it might be. It was really quite fun. And I was looking down at the floor, and there was this really buff lady who, I thought she is going to go on forever. She doesn't look like I am ever going to beat this one. And I couldn't see some other people who were behind me, but we kept going, and we got to 9 minutes. And my arms started shaking. I started quivering. And I just said to myself, Charlie, this is a mind over matter. You just cannot give up. It doesn't matter if you're shaking, if you hurt. You have a point to prove here, and you have just got to do this. That's what I said to myself over and over again. And at 10 minutes, this lady who was down in front of me, she was shaking and she dropped to the ground at 10 minutes. But there was still a couple more who were going strong, and I couldn't see them. And about 10 minutes and 30 seconds, I started hearing some swearing from the student who was there. And he was, like doing everything he could. At 10 and a half minutes, he was remaining and I was remaining. We went to 11 minutes and he dropped, and the cheer went up from the class. They were just like wild at this point. And I decided I'll do this for a few more seconds. I waited 15 more seconds to just show them I could go forever and the importance. And I told them at the end, I just needed to demonstrate to you how important it is the lifestyle of whole plant food diet and the importance of that. That's my story, as short as I could tell it tonight. Since we're on exercise anyway, I know many of you have heard this before, maybe not exactly the same way. It kind of tends to get molded a little bit here and there, but the feeling was similar. Okay, any thoughts from anyone? I hate to have to do that again, by the way. but I might.
You're not practicing for the next challenge, like training?
No, actually, when I did the 11 minute, 15 seconds, I had not done a plank for about 6 months. It was just, it was truly mind over matter. And did I ache for days afterward? No. I was just so inspired by that. It was like my endorphins just kept me calm and at peace. I don't know. That's the best explanation that I have. Okay, I have another video unless you have something else that you want to add. Scott, I want to give you time to chime in whatever you'd like, or we're going to get on to um, how much should you exercise, and then exercise is medicine. Keep going? Okay,
Keep
keep
going.
going. Here we go. I'm having way too much fun with you all here for sure. But I'm I'm gonna close this off because that's the YouTube page, and I'm gonna go back up to my exercise. Let's see. Wait a second. My complicated lifestyle, I have to kind of track around here sometimes to figure out where is exercise. There we go. Okay. And we are at how much should you exercise? Is that it? Here it is. This is from Gregor.
Researchers who accept grants from the Coca-Cola Company may call physical inactivity the greatest public health problem of the 21st century, but actually physical inactivity ranks down at number 5 in terms of risk factors for death in the United States, and number 6 in terms of risk factors for disability. And inactivity barely makes the top 10 globally. As we've learned, diet is by far our greatest killer, followed by smoking. Of course, that doesn't mean you can just sit on the couch all day. Exercise can help with mental health, cognitive health, sleep quality, cancer prevention, immune function, high blood pressure, and lifespan extension. If the U.S. population collectively exercised enough to shave just 1% off the national body mass index, 2 million cases of diabetes, 1.5 million cases of heart disease and stroke, and 100,000 cases of cancer might be prevented. Ideally, how much should we exercise? The latest official physical activity guidelines recommend adults get at least 150 minutes a week of moderate aerobic exercise, which comes out to be a little more than 20 minutes a day. That's actually down from previous recommendations from the Surgeon General and the CDC and American College of Sports Medicine, which recommended at least 30 minutes each day. The exercise authorities seem to have fallen into the same trap as the nutrition authorities, recommending what they think may be achievable rather than simply informing us what the science says and letting us make up our own mind. They already emphasize that any physical activity is better than none, so why not stop patronizing the public and just tell everyone the truth? It is true that walking 150 minutes a week is better than walking 60 minutes a week. Following the current recommendations for 150 minutes appears to reduce your overall mortality rate by 7% compared to being sedentary. Walking for only 60 minutes a week only drops your mortality rate about 3%. But walking 300 minutes a week drops overall mortality by 14%. So walking twice as long, 40 minutes a day compared to the recommended 20, yields twice the benefit. And an hour-long walk each day may reduce mortality by 24%. I use walking as an example because it's an exercise nearly everyone can do, but the same goes for other moderate intensity activities such as gardening or cycling. This meta-analysis of physical activity dose and longevity found that the equivalent of about an hour a day of brisk 4 miles per hour walking was good, but 90 minutes was even better. What about more than 90 minutes? Unfortunately, so few people exercise that much every day that there weren't enough studies to compile a higher category. Okay, but if we know 90 minutes of exercise a day is better than 60 minutes, is better than 30 minutes, why is the recommendation only 20 minutes? I understand that only about half of Americans even make the recommended 20 minutes a day, so the authorities are just hoping to, nudge people in the right direction. It's like the dietary guidelines advising us to eat less candy. If only they just give it to us straight. That's what I try to do here at nutritionfacts.org.
That was a little older video, but it still had some truth connected with it. And it was interesting how much exercise really provides the maximum benefit. And if you noticed, walking 4 miles an hour, that is a pretty good clip. It is not a stroll with your dog. So, if you want to be doing moderate exercise, you need to be walking at a very, very fast clip, basically. If you want to improve your health, you want to if you walk at a certain pace, you want to just pick it up a little bit and kind of keep improving week by week. Um, Try to get to your route, through your route, a few seconds faster or a couple minutes faster each week that goes by. Give yourself that challenge, and that will make it more aerobic for you and will make it more weight bearing, actually, for those of you who are concerned about osteoporosis. Any questions about that? If you're just strolling with your dog every day, that is not going to be weight bearing, bone preserving exercise. I
So,
know that's not what you want to hear. Go ahead, Alice.
well, there were some studies that that I've heard quoted and read them that there was too much exercise. That if it was like a bell curve, and then there was this whole thing about like atrial fibrillation, and these chronic endurance exercisers, and I don't know, just some thoughts on that.
Okay, the thoughts are the next video. How much exercise is too much? Who would
Yay, all
have,
right.
who would have known there's another video that we have? That's an excellent point. So let's go to the video, and here it is. How much exercise is too much? Another Gregor video. Another great question. How do we get this to play? There we go.
How much exercise is too much? There doesn't appear to be any studies on the longevity of marathon or triathlon runners, but this study, in which more than 1,000 joggers were followed for up to a dozen years, is able to offer some insight. Surprisingly, the light joggers appeared to have the lowest mortality rates. Moderate joggers had a worse mortality rate than light joggers. They still did better than that of sedentary non-joggers, but strenuous joggers did not. There wasn't a significant difference in death rates between those jogging more than 4 hours a week and those not jogging at all. So the death versus jogging intensity graph was a U-shaped curve, with the lowest mortality bottoming out among those taking it relatively easy, clocking 1 to 2.4 hours a week over no more than 3 days at a slower average pace. So more may not necessarily be better. The jogging study spurred sensationalist headlines like "fast running can kill," but the strenuous joggers were just dying at a higher rate compared to light joggers, not compared to the general population of non-joggers. Here's what a meta-analysis found of all such similar studies. Yes, diminishing returns, but the only clear mortality bump was associated with inactivity. However, there was a retrospective analysis of more than 1,000 male Olympic track and field athletes that suggested that those who had extraordinary early peak performance had lifespans shortened by almost 5 years. The regimen for peak performance may not be the same as that for optimum health and longevity. Perhaps the mantra, exercise is medicine, metaphor should be taken a step further, recognizing that, like any powerful medicine, there may be a safe range of dosing.
So it wasn't completely clear, that video, as I've listened to it, but it was a little interesting to learn that, you can exercise too much potentially in terms of the benefits. So I guess it's depending upon the type of exercise too. Walking, the 90-minute benefit is improved, but if you're doing jogging or more strenuous activities, maybe not so health promoting, perhaps. That's kind of a surprise to me.
And also not getting injured when we overdo it or do a higher risk activity like riding bicycles and things like that. You'll want to not fall down and get hurt when you're doing your exercise. That's always the number one goal.
Good point.
I'm
Yeah,
curious
like-
if
yeah.
a mini trampoline is as weight bearing as, jogging or walking.
I don't know. I don't know the science connected with that. My first thought is it's sort of like jumping up and down. You get that cushioning effect, but you do stop, and there is pressure, your weight. So I would suspect that it probably would be beneficial and considered weight bearing. Any thoughts from anyone else on that?
The folks that make those are really promoting it as a treatment, but I looked into it a little bit. I never found any studies, but I do think it's good, and I think it moves like lymphatic fluids, and I think it probably is good. Same thing with those weighted vests, another,
Yeah.
osteoporosis kind of trendy thing, but I couldn't find any data to really support it. I don't think it'll hurt as long as it doesn't hurt people's backs, but yeah.
I definitely agree with you. The weighted vest is considered weight bearing activity. Okay. Um, Ever onward. Let's see, how much time do we have? We still have a few more minutes.
So my daughter is over in the background, and she did bone research in mice. There's a lot of mice models, and she says that that the movement of fluid through the lacunae in mice is bone loading and unloading stimulates their. She won't come over here and say it, but anyway, so she thinks it's probably good.
Okay. Thanks for the input. And we're gonna go to
Wait,
then.
what is good? I didn't catch what is good.
That the mini trampolines, that
Oh.
bouncing, that shifting and stuff in mouse models, the movement, it's I guess it is cyclic loading is what it's called.
Okay. I thought she was going to say we should be on one of those things that the mice are
Oh,
on.
the little Leah, come on over and say it. All right, she doesn't want to show her face.
Thank
Still-
you though. Thanks, Leah.
Still a little shy, but it is okay. Thanks for chiming in. I'm gonna share my screen one more time with you, and I'm going to play the best exercise type and frequency for bone density. This is a Greger video. They talk about the vest and the other.
When it comes to bone health, it's use it or lose it. Physical activity.
It's considered a widely accessible, low-cost, and highly modifiable contributor to bone health. Exercise transmits forces through the skeleton, generating signals that are detected by our bone-building cells. This is why the National Osteoporosis Foundation, International Osteoporosis Foundation, and other agencies recommend weight-bearing exercise for the prevention of osteoporosis. These include high-impact exercise such as jumping, aerobics, and running, as well as lower-impact exercises like walking and weight training to create those mechanical signals that spark bone growth. But sufficient intensity and frequency are critical. The large variation in bone benefit across different studies, from negligible changes to substantial improvements in bone mineral density, have been attributed to the adequacy of the exercise regime. To improve measures of bone strength at the spine and hip, the most effective exercise training protocol appears to be a combination of progressive resistance and impact training at moderate to high intensity. Low-intensity exercise does not appear to be sufficient. For example, while regular walking is often prescribed to prevent osteoporosis, it appears to offer limited benefit for bone loss prevention. On its own, walking has no significant effect on bone mineral density of the spine, wrist, or overall skeleton, but it has been shown to significantly improve hip bone density in studies that have lasted more than 6 months. More effective would be brisk walking, walking with a weighted vest, or combining walking with more vigorous exercises such as jogging, stepping, or stair climbing. Non-impact activities such as cycling or swimming have been shown to have little or no effect. An elegant study to determine the optimum frequency of high-impact exercises for bone health involved hopping on one randomly chosen foot with a person's other leg acting as the control. Women were randomized to hop 50 times on that one same leg, either 7 days a week, 4 days a week, 2 days a week, or not at all for 6 months. And the brief daily hopping increased hip bone density, but less frequent hopping was not effective. The only group that built significantly more bone in their hip on the jumping versus non-jumping side within those 6 months was the 7-day-a-week group. If you jump 50 times with about a 10-pound weighted vest on, however, you may be able to preserve your hip bone density with just 3 sessions a week instead of every day. Note, weight-bearing impact exercises may be contraindicated, meaning not advisable in those with severe osteoporosis or recent history of fracture, so make sure you check with your medical professional before you get going.
Okay, so let's review that because it's a hot topic. So if you are, I'm on my 1 foot and I'm hopping now, and to do this 50 times, I'm not going to do it all at one time because I wouldn't advise anybody to do it all at once. Maybe you do that throughout the day 50 times. I'd have to read the article to see how they did that. But jumping 10 times and then a couple hours later, another 10 jumps, I think you could probably add it up for the day. I don't know for sure. Every single day is going to improve. Doesn't cost you anything. You just hold on to the table and you just jump, to just kind of balance yourself. You don't have to lift yourself up. And then he said, what could you do to cut it down to 3 times a week? Put on a vest with how much weight? 10 pounds. So 10 pounds, I think that's probably doable for most of us, but it's still going to feel heavy. Um, and there is your kind of no cost way of improving hip and spine. Wow. You don't have to go out and walk for 90 minutes a day as fast as you can. You can jump on one leg. Any thoughts about that? Now, if you have, what did he say, osteoporosis or some other kinds of issues, you may want to talk it over with your doctor as to whether you really want to be engaging in that level of activity. Do I clear the floor? Yeah, I do clear the floor. I come completely off. I'm bouncing off not my toes, but where the toes meet your metatarsal bones. They're kind of like I don't know, it's plantar aspect of the foot. I can't think of exactly what that's called. It's not the ball of the foot, I don't think. Maybe it is. Anyway, but
Would it be the same if you alternated? Because I can't seem to do it on one foot because of a hip issue. What
yeah.
about as long as you clear the ground, wouldn't alternating do the same sort of thing?
Well, if you're doing it on your foot, the femur, the weight is going to be transported up your left femur if you're on your left leg. If you don't do your right leg, it wouldn't be, improve the bone mass, I wouldn't think, but it could improve the spine a bit by
No, I was saying both legs, but alternating because I can't do it easily on one foot, but I can do, alternating.
Are you trying to fall down?
No, I
Okay.
chair was okay.
Uh, So you're alternate, huh? I don't know. Maybe you're still coming off the floor and bouncing. Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as you're coming off the floor and bouncing, I think
So
it's
isn't that called jogging?
Yeah.
it is. It's called jogging.
Or
And
like
I think you
skipping.
can, and I think you
All
can jump
right.
up and down with both feet at the same time. They just did it in the study, one on one side, so they could not do it on the other side as a control. So,
Mm.
so you can't just jump up and down in place with both feet, and that's still giving you the
That's a
bone.
good thought. I like it. It's
Yeah,
easier to jump up
yeah.
and down.
So I'm curious for Scott and Charlie, what's your exercise prescription for someone who's super sedentary? It's not their thing. They don't love it. Don't want to do it. How do you motivate? What do you say?
Scott,
My
you
first, yeah, my first for someone like that, my first prescription is just to not sit. Like, instead of sitting and watching a TV show for an hour, just get up and move around and spend at least half of that hour standing and walking around the living room and watching the TV and not just sitting the whole time. And that's a good place to start. Just less time sitting, more time standing or moving around. Good
so
start there.
I would add to that I would try to engage them in a thought process such as like this. So I say, so you have diabetes and you have overweight or you have high blood pressure. What's your goal? Focus on that. How are you going to help yourself with that? What things are important? Is food important? Yeah, I have to eat healthier. Okay, good, eat healthy. Is there anything else that may be beneficial for you? Well, I probably should exercise more or move more. Okay, if you want to move more, what kind of things might you do to move more? And just see what they say. Like, um, I don't know, I like to go out in the yard occasionally, but I don't want to do exercise. Yeah, okay. Well, you don't have to do exercise. I never use that word exercise, or I try not to because it really turns people off. Move more. And like Scott said, try not to sit, as much. You want to get up and move about. And I usually say, could you walk? Is there any, do you like, are you able to walk? And most people say, yeah. Could you walk any distance, like outside your house or, within your house for like 5 minutes at a time or 3 minutes or 10 minutes? Is there any time that you think you could walk every single day? Well, I could do 10 minutes. Everybody will say I could do 10 minutes. They won't necessarily do 10 minutes, but they could say it. And so try to get them to commit to some sort of activity that they can do every single day to get in the habit and then see them back and then encourage them to keep increasing that. That's that's how I would try to approach it. And it's not always successful, Alice. You know that. We do our best to keep encouraging people. Uh, and um, I guess we've all been there. We've all thought we're going to do something like I was setting out to do Tai Chi several months ago. We did a few lessons at home, never got started. My wife falls down playing pickleball, breaks her wrist. Now I'm motivated again. We need to do Tai Chi. Uh, I wish we'd have done it sooner. We're human.
Yeah. Well, I saw a patient today who has pretty bad emphysema because she was a former smoker, doesn't smoke anymore, has diabetes and really doesn't tolerate the meds very well, and recently had really severe arthritis in her hip, got a hip replacement, which was good, but now her hip replacement, she says there's a leg length discrepancy of about an inch. The replaced hip is now an inch longer. Like that leg's about an inch longer, which I guess the orthopedist said that the hip was so bad that I don't know why they had to make it an inch longer. I thought they could, whatever. Anyway, now it's an inch longer. So now that's putting her, you know, de-levelizing her hips. So it's like, she's got respiratory, she's obese, and now she's got a leg length problem. It's like, I don't even know how would you address that? What would you say?
I'd start with a heel lift. Like
I recommended that.
we can make your other leg the
Right.
same length by putting in a heel. And then it comes down to what's your goal? Are you done with life? Or do you still have things that you want to do with your grandchildren or this or that or the other thing? If you have some goals that you want to achieve, then you need to focus on those every single day. If it becomes important enough to you that you need to do something different. And that means making different food choices because you have diabetes, the insulin resistance you have. You need to reduce that to get that under control. Um, and that may not be comfortable for a while, but your taste buds change, and when you start feeling better, there have been many people who have found it valuable to really make the transition to a whole food plant-based lifestyle. That's what I tell people. It's totally up to you, though. This is your choice. But I don't foresee you controlling your diabetes with medicine as long as you continue to eat a higher fat diet that's going to lead to insulin resistance and going to cost the medicine may alter a blood sugar a bit, but it's a distraction really from you making choices that are really going to help you achieve health. That's how I look upon those medicines, that people don't tolerate them very well. It's very frustrating. They don't control their sugars very well because they're continuing to not treat the root cause of their illness. So that's why I just ignore the drugs and talk to the people at each visit about the importance of taking control of their life. They're in charge. They're not coming to me as a doctor for their health. They're in charge of their health. I'm like a coach. I'm giving them advice how to swing the racket or swing the golf club, but I can't do it for them. And it's hopeful. There's a whole list of people I can show you here, and I bring out my little folder of people who've benefited. And I say, there's a whole list of people who have made this choice and who have changed their life, and you could do the same for yourself. And I'll be cheering you along. And when do you want to be seen again? It's up to you. And if they say, well, 3 months, I know they're not going to do anything. If they say, I want to come back in 2 weeks, I want to, keep motivated, then there's probably significant hope for them. But it really is their decision. Just a thought.
No, it's good. I need to hear it. I was on this bike ride every morning. Every morning we had biscuits and gravy.
Ugh.
That was the breakfast.
The
Biscuits and
wh-
gravy, baby. And then there
biscuits. The whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. Yeah.
and then we had fry bread. And we had
Oh my gosh. Then you had the oil on top of the white flour.
no, that was like dinner. That was dinner.
Oh, oh God.
This is how America eats.
I know.
The,
It's
and
very
and
strange.
these were healthy, active people. They seemed very happy with this stuff.
Well, that goes back to Scott's story. Riding this bicycle at an elite level and, being pre-diabetic and having high blood pressure, borderline or high, and overweight, and eating that junk food. And, because that's what the culture does. But he changed. And he's changing the lives of many other people, and so that's what we're all trying to accomplish here. We're not going to change everybody, but we're going to keep planting those seeds, and as long as you keep getting disgusted by the foods, eventually someone may make some healthier choices. You may give a comment when you get done with your ride, like maybe you could do something to actually provide some healthier food choices for the future rides.
Yeah.
I don't know how well that would go over, but I would do something like that. Perhaps.
I mean, it was like this is South Dakota. It is a food desert,
Yeah.
truly a food desert. And yeah, I mean, it's like for you folks in Eugene, I think you have a lot more access. I feel like in where I'm at in Boise, Idaho, wow, am I lucky. There are a lot of good stores here and, access. It ain't so in South Dakota. Truly. I mean,
But
so
you
it's
could bring in some dehydrated foods. You could bring in some Patagonia, has some healthy choices for backpacking. The beans and rice, the legumes with the whole grains. They have some, I think, dehydrated veggies, maybe dehydrated fruits. Um, it would cost, you know, but it's a different way of thinking about it, and I don't know, I guess if you choose that lifestyle, you choose not living healthy your last 10 years. You make it for a while thinking you're healthy and eating healthy, and I can't tell you the number of people who tell me I'm eating pretty healthy, and I listen to what they're eating, and it's butter on top of fried whatever it is, and ghee, and yeah, you know the eggs and the this and the that. And
uh, uh,
Was that
okay.
ragbri you did, Alice?
no, no, no. I've never done ragbri. That's I think coming
Oh
up
yeah.
in 2 weeks.
That's in Iowa. That's in Iowa though, right?
It's in Iowa. A lot of folks
Oh,
there's a lot of folks they do. This is called Right Across South Dakota, RASDAC. And then they do Tour of Minnesota, and then they do Ragbri. Like there's like a bunch of folks that like do a whole bunch of rides. Like that's like that's what they do. No, Ragbri sounds not my thing. Too many people, too crowded, too crazy. Sounds like Burning Man on bicycles, like not
yeah.
for but no, this is right across South Dakota, Razdak.
All right, I want to share a couple resources for those of you in the group who are interested. I'm going to share where I found most of the videos for tonight. It's going to go um, Um, let's see. I need to close this off. I need to close this off. I don't want to end the meeting for tonight. I want to go to nutritionfacts.org. You're all familiar with this site. If you're not, I hope you get familiar. Here it is, nutritionfacts.org. There's the smiling face, and you do a search. And for tonight's class, we did a search on exercise. Okay? It was very simple to do and exercise. And you can find most of the videos here. How much exercise is too much? Does exercise extend your lifespan or just your health span? Exercise is medicine. How much exercise to improve cognitive function? You can look that up. Boosting AMPK with exercise for life extension. How much exercise does it take to boost immunity? That's a 7-minute video. The best exercise type for bone density we saw, and the role diet and exercise play in obesity epidemic. And you know which one plays the bigger role. I hope you do after attending our classes. For those of you who are new, it really is diet plays a bigger role than exercise in the obesity epidemic. And he makes a good point of that. It's an 8-minute video. It's well worth watching. So I'd encourage you to go to that site and just type in exercise. Then the other site is YouTube. And YouTube has the other videos that we have. And I think, in the interests of keeping this simple, I want you to remember one name or type one person's name. It was a person who I've been following since I began this with the CHIP program, Complete Health Improvement. And his name is Darren Morton, Morton, Darren Morton. He's a PhD physiologist, psychology guy, and he talks about living more happy, secret of happiness. He's got some wonderful ideas, but if you type in exercise or you type in, let's see what the exercise is for tonight. Darren Morton, stretching for flexibility is important. He goes through some exercises that you could do at home, costs you nothing, totally free. Um, I'd encourage you to go there. Um, let's see, Darren Morton again. And then, um, oh, let's see, we did the exercise thing. Again, he's a bit of psychology and he's a bit of exercise, but this other one is handy tips for easy workouts at home with Darren Morton. And uh, it's a 13-minute short video for those people who are doing nothing. This is some resistance exercises which are helpful. They're low impact. They're not going to stress you out too much. And he has some really good things. A 4-week plan for beginners. Let's see, what else? Live happier. That's all I want to tell you about in terms of searching for videos and the resources that we used for tonight. Okay, I'm going to log out of here and stop the share. Any thoughts from anybody else? We have another 10 minutes to share and answer your questions, whether it's on exercise or anything else. Ken, are you talking to us? I can't hear you. I know it looks like you're unmuted, but I still can't hear you. Your lips are moving, but and I saw your name tag change, like you pushed some button, but there is some glitch with your sound. Still some glitch. Still can't hear you.
How about type in the chat, Ken?
Yeah, you can type in the chat. Now it says your microphone is muted and you can type something in the chat
Maybe
and
his sound was on low or something.
you're talking, you're unmuted, but I don't hear anything. Again, is your sound on zero or, you got to go to the volume and make sure that you're hooked up to the right speaker. Still can't hear it. So you're going to have to type. So we'll go to someone else for a bit, see if they have a question. Um, Anybody have any questions on anything, any condition? Yeah, go ahead, Nancy. I can't hear you because you're muted.
Eh,
There you
yes.
go.
Yeah. I have noticed, I can do 25 push-ups. I can't stand to stay still long enough to do planks. So I just do push-ups. But I always figure a push-up's kind of a plank, a moving plank, and I can
Yeah,
do that. But one of the things I've noticed is my tendons seem to be, should we say, stressed. They get more I don't know how to explain it really. That they're like when I pick something up, the tendons in my hands will get more um inflamed or something. And then I was doing some oh gosh, um the wall squats, and I noticed the tendons in my around my um knees were getting, they just felt like they were stressed, kind of hurting. And I don't know if there's anything you can do for that. I don't know. I mean,
does it feel stressed and tense while you're doing the exercise or for
yeah,
5 days
mhm.
afterward?
No, just while I'm doing it. I mean, if I let up a bit, it's fine. But I have a water filter pitcher, and
Yeah.
I try to use that, grip that and everything. But I notice it's just like it's the tendons in my hands are um seem to be an issue, and it's just while
Well,
I'm
if you have
stressing
no
them.
discomfort after you've gone through whatever exercises you're doing, I would say you're probably going to be fine.
But I
And
don't know
while,
how much to, should, well, especially with the knee, the wall squats, should I like let up a little bit, as soon as I feel the stress on my tendons, let it up a bit, or should I just kind of work through it? I mean, because it doesn't go through, it just gets more sore, while I'm doing it. I don't know. I just
I'm not a physical therapist, but
yeah.
I would say I I would say that um, you know, you want to have full range of motion to your body parts. So going through full range of motion, even if it causes you a little bit of tension, would be important. I guess I would, when you're doing the wall squat, maybe one of them that you do, you can kind of do it where you're feeling the tension and then ease off and finish off. Or, at the very end, you could kind of stretch through a little bit more and don't do it for too long. I'm not there watching you or
Yeah,
I,
whether I'm
I'm
doing
just
it right or not.
exactly. And so maybe a visit with the physical therapist to kind of have a discussion with them as to what they feel is appropriate for your body type and uh, your your movement abilities and those sorts of things. They're really the expert on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do either of you two have any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I do. So the tendon is like, yeah, the muscle, you got the meaty part of the muscle, and the tendon's like the sinewy part, and it's where it
Nice.
attaches, and you want to be working the belly of the muscle, the middle of the muscle, the meaty part. So it's like when you're stressing the attachments, I would wonder if you're engaging your full muscle. Like you want to work the what they call the belly of the muscle, the meaty part rather than hanging on the insertion of it. Does that make sense? So you want to like
Yeah.
kind of engage your whole muscle, not drop into the squat and hang on the insertion. And then for the hand stuff, um, like, if you're doing a lot of gripping this way, you want to counter it with the extension. And they use them for rock climbers, these little finger extensor bands that, like, where you're stretching the opposite muscles. Does that make sense? So they're
So you're getting a full range of motion rather than just the
right.
one
So
way.
that like we're always holding things, gripping things. We're not working the opposite muscles, which are these guys. They make these little finger extensor little stretchers that you can buy them on Amazon. They're cheap. And rock climbers use them because rock climbers are, is like
Yeah, yeah.
hanging like this, and so they have to strengthen the other. So that I think would help the
Mm.
opposing muscle groups. Those are my thoughts anyway.
Huh.
Then there's always the pain, the type of pain. So a lot of times people will, what they feel is pain isn't necessarily pain that's bad pain. There's the pain that you want to avoid is like a sharp stabbing pain. It's, like Charlie was saying earlier, it's sore afterwards. That's the kind of pain you want to avoid. The pain that it's okay to do is you don't have any soreness afterwards. It's kind of an achiness, a soreness, a discomfort, but it's not like a pop poker sharp stabbing type of pain. And that's you'll hear physical therapists say that all the time. That's the kind of pain you can kind of move through and then build up tolerance too. You don't, you want to, if you're overdoing it too early or doing a squat too deep or something, you might just start by getting it to where it's uncomfortable but not painful, like that sharp stabbing pain, and then you kind of just build up over time. And then so that's just kind of in general for lots of different exercises. It's normal to have some discomfort, and what people perceive as pain sometimes isn't necessarily a bad type of a pain, but then there is types of pain that is bad, that's not good. So all that, I just add that little bit too.
Yeah, well, my mom had both her knees replaced when she was in her 60s. Of course, she was really heavy, but it's kind of like I don't want to go there. But so for some reason or other, whenever I feel some kind of pain around my knees or something or other, it just like kind of freaks me out. I think, oh no, maybe something bad's happening. And generally, I mean, I can just walk through it and be fine. But I always kind of wonder. So you said it's a sharp stabbing pain that you want to um,
Avoid.
do something about because I'll have to. I mean, I don't want to freak out, but sometimes I kind of mentally do just because, it's like I don't want to go there.
Well, and
So,
when you're doing your wall squats, you want your knees right over your ankles, like not in front of your ankles. You want them like straight up and down, like so you're not, so you're what we call the biomechanics of it. Like you want to have your feet like a couple of feet from the wall so that you're like kind of sitting back and that knee, your shin bone, you don't have your knees like too far in front. You want to be really straight up and down. Does that make sense? Because then
yeah, I try to do that, but you know, I look down and it's really hard for me to judge exactly where it should. I wonder if I sit and look at maybe look at where my knee and ankle are. If I sit and see if I could translate it into, yeah, because I don't, I don't like to go and have it, go to class or anything. But most classes, I don't even look at you. The teacher just kind of does her thing or his. And anyway, yeah, I always, it's like at my age, you kind of worry about things, even if you don't really need to worry about them. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I think it's important. It's easier to get hurt as we get older, as we mature, you know.
Edward,
Hey, Ed, you've had your hand up for a while. Did you have a question?
I was just gonna say something about motivation. Well, we were on the topic, but that's all
Oh, go
right.
ahead.
No, say.
Um, what I did, just sort of on a whim. Excuse me. What did, just like sort of on a whim, was I decided to take something away and like put it behind a gate until what it was coffee.
Oh.
I can have one cup of coffee, but I can't have any more until I exercise. And that turned out to be so effective because apparently I really care about coffee.
that's a good example of what actually works for some people.
And it's actually turned into a habit now, so I don't even need to do that anymore. Exercising is just a habit.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, we've made it another hour and a half. What next week is what? Going to be open forum?
Yeah, actually, we have it scheduled as just open forums between now and the end of July, because July 18th is the new class series will be starting in person, and then it'll be Tuesday, the 22nd of July will be the first online class for the new series. And so, yeah, we could do whatever we want, but open forums can go any which way we want. So that's what
So
we
that
have on
means
schedule.
bring your questions, bring your friends who are skeptics, and we'll try to have some fun. Uh, try to stretch our brains and share resources and whatever else. Um, and there will always be another video waiting around the bend if the room gets too quiet.
And for the people that are local, hopefully you can come to the summer picnic potluck on Saturday at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we're excited about that. All
Send
right,
pictures,
everybody.
take pictures.
Take pictures. Good thought. Okay, we'll try to do that and have that at the open forum next week. All right, everybody.
All right.
Thanks
Have
a
a good
bunch.
night.
Alice and everybody else.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you
Good
coming.
night.
Good night.
Good night.